Rowdies, who have made a huge upset.
Your 2021 Eastern Conference champion.
Attack, let's go! Oh, that is a delicious goal for Tampa Bay.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hello, everyone out there in Tampa Bay and beyond. This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sports podcast. I am here tonight to cover the Rowdies like I usually do. Tonight, we are doing something pretty cool, I would say. So, Obviously, we usually talk to each other, Carlos and myself. We talk about the Rowdies. We say that there has been a game, sometimes that there hasn't been a game. We talk about how the team is looking. We talk about how the league is looking at times. Well, we're going to do a little bit of that tonight. Far more importantly, though, Carlos, in my opinion, we have an interview with a current Tampa Bay Rowdy. We are going to be talking to Russell Cicerone coming up here in a little bit. So, yes, please pay attention. Please tune in for that, and we will get to everything in due time. But before we get to all of that, we do need to talk about one preseason game for the Rowdies, and I need to ask Carlos, how are you doing tonight?
James, I'm doing well. Another preseason game to talk about. I'm glad that it happened, and I'm glad we're chatting with this veteran of the USL at this point later on, because otherwise there's not a ton to talk about in the Rowdies news. I mean, we did hear about this preseason game, but obviously closed door, so none of us were there to put eyes on it and see what the product actually looked like. But a result we'll talk about a little bit. Preseason game coming up this weekend to check out. First opportunity to see the boys play another team this year. So go ahead, check it out. Alling Stadium, 6 p.m. this Saturday. It'll be a great time, I'm sure. And an awesome opportunity, I don't want to say for granted, to take a look at the Rowdies before March or April roll around, which has been great because last year we had to wait till April to see these guys in person. So really, really cool that we get to do this early February. Awesome stuff. So yeah, James, I'm good. I saw you at the NHL Stadium Series game this weekend on Sunday. Saw the Lightning come back in dramatic fashion against the Boston Bruins in front of 65,000 people, which is just an incredible thing to watch. I know there's a Rowdies podcast, but it was honestly, it was probably, with the exception of the Super Bowl that the Bucks won here in 2020, probably the coolest sporting event that this city's hosted. Like, just really, really ridiculous. The logistical effort and nightmare that it is to put together an ice rink in a football stadium in Tampa, Florida, of all places. I never thought I would see the day. Really cool that Tampa's become like a really big hockey town. I love that. I love hockey. I love the Lightning. Obviously one of the more successful organizations in the area, and really, really happy that it went well for them and that we got to see a win against a conference opponent. So that's your plug. That's your advertisement for hockey, I guess, in this podcast. Great sport, fun to watch. So I saw someone tweet that there's two types of people in the world. There's people who like hockey and people who've never been to a live hockey game. So I bought that. I bought into that even more this weekend. Maybe a lot going on at the same time, hard for you to keep up, but fun to watch in person. So that was really cool, James. Glad to see you there. Also glad to see some Rowdies merchandise throughout the stadium. Not a lot of teams sell scarves, I guess you could say, in this area. I think that might have been the reason for it, because I saw an FC Tampa Bay scarf. I saw a couple of Rowdy scarves throughout the stadium. And that FC Tampa Bay scarf made it on the big screen for a little bit. So that was really fun to see. So good weekend of Gasparilla action despite the cold. I got to be down there for that and had a blast, of course. Who doesn't have a good time at Gasparilla?
Who doesn't?
And now we're here to talk Rowdies. And like I said, first open door preseason game this weekend. I'm really, really, really excited to see, not personally, because I won't be there, unfortunately, but excited to see what the fans have to say about their first look at the product on the field. And again, we'll chat with Russell later on about how things have been going in these early preseason games, gelling with the new squad. Obviously, full of new guys, not really the consistent core, I guess we could say, that we've gotten used to over the last number of years. So I'm looking forward to that chat as well, and stick around for that later on too. James, let's jump into it. Like and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, social medias, all the places you get podcasts. And I totally skipped asking how James is doing. So there's two options here. I could go back and try to save that or just plow on ahead. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was a cold weekend. Gasparilla was fun, and the game was also fun, but it was cold. So
Okay.
I will just mention all of that. We were bundled up, obviously. With that out of the way, Carlos, I think that we can jump into our review of a preseason game and talk about what we know, because it's not a ton, but we do know a little bit.
Yeah. Not a ton that to take from this, but like I said, we'll jump into it. We'll see what we can pull out of it because the Rowdies played another preseason game this week. It was against St. Louis of the Major League Soccer. And the result was a 2-2 draw. So it was MD Myers who got his second goal of preseason off of a corner kick. It was a corner served in by, I believe, Marco Micheletto, flicked on by Max Schneider. And MD Myers had to get up for that ball, by the way, and found a beautiful, beautiful header right in front of the goal, point blank, to put the Rowdies up 1-0. Can't tell you how they scored, but St. Louis scored 2 goals back to back at some point in there. And it would be Luis Alvarez who scores the equalizer for the Rowdies off of a low and driven cross from Carson Henderlong. Cool to see that Carson Henderlong gets an assist here because obviously I know him as a pure, striker getting all the goals, but based on the little bit of content and film you could see from this game on social media, he put in a beautiful, beautiful driven ball into Luis Alvarez's path. So good pass from him. Good to know that he has that in his bag, that playmaking ability. Rowdies and St. Louis draw this one 2-2 at the Waters Complex. St. Louis has been making IMG Academy their base camp for this preseason game. For this preseason. I thought my prediction was that they would play over there for this game, but they played at the Water Complex. Maybe you saw them around at some point on January 28th last week for that. But again, this is the Rowdies' second preseason game, both behind closed doors, both against MLS squads, and they've drawn 2-2 in both of them. So scoring some goals early, particularly excited that the kind of marquee signing and MD Myers already has 2 goals in the preseason. That's really fun and good to know he's off to a hot start. Some of the notes that we saw in the article the Rowdies put out were that Wyke played for over 70 minutes because of a few light knocks across the roster, which was interesting to see this early on. Hopefully that's not an issue. I don't want to see injuries plaguing the Rowdies before we even touch the field with a crowd. So Wyke played for over 70 minutes alongside USL Academy player Alex Rodriguez, who also got a little over 70 minutes. So cool to see that the kid was playing in there. Seems like Wyke might be a consistent feature for the Rowdies again this year based on that. I don't know, just purely speculation, but good to know that there's enough fitness for him to play 70 minutes in the second preseason game of the year in January at that point. So quickly, I'll just run through the lineups that we have as well. Again, pull out of it what you can. In the first half, it was Jamali Waite in goal, Dion Akoff, Lawrence Wyke, Leland Archer, presumably the back 3. Again, I don't know. We're kind of just making this up in my head. Not who's on the field, but where they were on the field. Alex Rodriguez, a trialist, Max Schneider, Sebastian Cruz, Marco Micheletto, and then Russell Cicerone and MD Myers, your attackers. Interesting. It feels like an interesting 11. Very talented, obviously, kind of comfortable with that. Good to see Dion Akoff out there after not featuring in that first preseason game. Rowdy's second half lineup included Austin Pack, another trialist, Lawrence Wyke, Nate DeSantos, Pedro Dolabella, Lewis Hilton, another trialist, Charlie Ostrom, Alex Rodriguez, Luis Alvarez, and Carson Henderlong as the lone striker in this one. No Evan Conway in this one. I can't remember if he was in the first matchup either, and I can check myself really quickly, so I'm going to keep talking while I do that and just say some words to fill in the space. He wasn't in at least the listed lineups in that first game either. So maybe we can assume he was one of those knocks. Maybe we can assume Dion Akoff was one of those knocks in the first game as well, but Dion Akoff showed up here in the second game. So, hopefully everything is smooth sailing after this, but hoping that these guys are healthy. Because again, injury bug is just so awful, and it's even more annoying when it starts in the preseason. So hopefully it's nothing major. It didn't seem like the tone was anything to be concerned about based on what was mentioned in the Rowdies article that came out. So we'll assume all the best for now, right? It's early on in the preseason, plenty of time to be healthy. So hopefully we're going in with a healthy squad into the first regular season matchup in March. But in the meantime, next up is Philadelphia Union against the Rowdies at Alling Stadium on Saturday at 6 p.m. You can go ahead and check that game out. It's the first one that's open doors. You should check it out. It'll be a really good time, I'm sure. Like I said, this Saturday, February 7th, 6 p.m. against another MLS squad. So it'll be the third MLS squad we play in a row here. You can get your tickets online, same place you get all your tickets for the Rowdies games. And go ahead and check out, again, your first opportunity to see the Rowdies in person. Yeah, cool. James, can you pull away anything from this preseason result? Anything that calls to mind? Anything that's worth touching on? What do you got? Talk to me.
Well, you did mention the injury bug that may or may not be going around. Honestly, we don't have a ton of information about what that means right now because we can only see players are getting limited minutes anyway at the moment. It's not as though they should be playing a whole 90 minutes. So we don't know who was on or off for an injury. The only issue is if we're told somebody's not here because there was an injury, right? So the biggest thing that I can think is that obviously we do have a ton of injury problems from the past couple of seasons. Examples where this has hit us at a bad moment. You can think of Forrest Lasso, Leo Fernandez. Those were longer ones. You can think of players who kept dealing with injuries that kept coming back. I think Blake Bodley was a good example of that. I think even Connor Antley was dealing with an issue where he was in and out for a little while. Perhaps I'm mixing him up with somebody else. But the point is that injury bug in the USL Championship is a constant problem. It's not something that you can get over. And that's partly due to the schedule and partly due to the travel in the U.S. We put our players under a different kind of strain from a lot of other places. Now, Premier League, if you're in a certain level, you're going to be playing not only the league games, you're going to be playing games in Europe, you're going to be playing games in the FA Cup, the Leagues Cup, possibly other cups, depending on things. So it's not like this is completely unheard of, but overall, the point is this. We know from experience at this point, 2026, Rowdies are going to face some type of injury problem over the course of the year. So
Yes.
maybe we're getting it out of the way right now. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're just seeing the beginnings of it. And what I would point out is that we have always, I said this for the last couple of seasons, but the Rowdies have carried a smaller roster. And that's good if what you're doing is we have a certain amount of budget and we have to allocate it strategically. So we're going to get all of the best players that fit within this budget, as opposed to spreading it out maybe a little bit more to get more players in. You can argue one way, you can argue the other way, but we do know that carrying a small roster has hurt the Rowdies at points in the past, for sure. Undeniably, it has hurt the Rowdies over the course of the last couple of seasons. So I think that this year we're looking pretty good. I can do a quick count of this if my numbers don't fail me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 23 players, I think, listed roughly on the roster now. Keep in mind that there are they will definitely sign at least one more keeper. That person will probably not see the field, but you do need them on the roster.
I'm guessing an academy kid.
Yeah,
Just throw my name out, throw that
exactly.
out there. Yeah.
That has happened in the past couple of seasons as well. And there are a couple more trialists that are still hanging around with the squad, either trying to make it or staying fit until they can possibly try somewhere else. Who knows? But yeah, it's interesting that right now we are where we are with our 23 players, give or take, and um, it's not the biggest of rosters that we've seen, but I think that it does look. I think that it does look at least a little bit more. There is more depth in certain places. We have two out and out left wing backs. We only for sure right wing back. You could put other players there to be fair, but they wouldn't be as suited for it. I think that we have a good deal of depth at center back, or maybe not center back. Let's just say defenders. And I think that we have real depth in the center of the midfield specifically and with strikers. So that's good. That's, the spine of the team, obviously. And filling that in helps us out a lot. I think there's also a lot of quality within that, positive naturally, but it's just going to be interesting when we see an injury crisis, because we know it's a when, it's not an if. Um, where is it going to hit?
Yeah.
And will we have the players to deal with it? So that's the only thing that I really can take away from this. Preseason, again, these results are fun to see. Like we talked about this a little while ago. Sarasota beat New York Red Bulls in one of their preseason games, and they said it was a historic result.
Chat
It's fine.
GPT generated article, by the
I
way.
hope not. I hope not. But Carlos, you may be right. It definitely could be, and it's historic in the fact that it's one of their. I think it was no.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. Point is, it was one of the preseason games in the build-up to their first ever professional game. That's
Yeah.
historic. Beating an MLS team for Sarasota Paradise right now is not historic. The only way that they can do that in a competitive venue at the moment is the Open Cup, and I don't even know if Sarasota is participating in that. And I certainly don't think MLS is. So that's a conversation for another day. When we say all of these things, preseason really doesn't matter. It's about getting fit, getting some reps at high pace with good intent, but you also want to avoid injuries because there's nothing
Yeah.
on the line right now. There's
Yeah.
nothing but the potential playing time. I'm sure coaches have their general lineup in mind. Maybe that can change depending on how well people do in preseason. It happened for certain players historically, like Samuel Eto'o at Barcelona. But, these are rare examples. I think that really it's about getting your reps. It's about proving what you can do in game situations, but it's also about staying healthy. So right now, we need to get everybody back to full fitness. And then at that point, that's when we're going to get more of an assessment. That being said, I do want to encourage everybody to go out there this weekend, not only because it's a good thing to do for the team, but also you get to see some of the players and you get to see them like playing that we have not. Right now, Carlos and I have not taken in a Rowdies game. We don't know what's going on. I think I don't even think Eureka was allowed to go to the preseason game that we were asking to go to. So we have not been able to do this. We don't have any
No.
eyes on the team. We don't really know what they're looking like. We don't know who's playing where in certain situations. We just get a list. And also, if I were to recognize any of the trialists, I don't know if I would be disallowed from saying that, but you can bet if I weren't, I would put their names out there. So that might be a little bit more incentive for people to show up to the preseason game. Just keep that in mind. All of
Yeah.
these little things are potential options for you.
Yeah. Last time we had a crowd at a game that involved like a trialist, it was when we fell in love with Juan Tejada. So maybe you see the next Juan Tejada this
Honestly, if
weekend.
that's not a good enough story to get you to go, come on.
Although he was an easy sell because everyone was like, who's that guy with the crazy hair that was running around like a freaking rabid dog? That guy was awesome. Who knows? Maybe you see some guy like that this weekend and he becomes another, great piece of this club's locker room this year. Who knows? Yeah. Go check it out. 6 p.m. Saturday, Al Lang Stadium against Philadelphia Union. If you have season tickets, it's already included. So might as well. Otherwise, you can purchase tickets online and go check out the Rowdies. Cool. So February soccer. It's great. It's fun. 2 more goals for the Rowdies, 2 goals conceded. Preseason results only matter if we win. That's how I'm going to take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. If we went 3-0, I'm like, that's a big result. That's a big one. If we did, whatever. Yeah, it's good, scoring goals, whatever. Honestly, biggest takeaway, first 2 games that MD Meyer scores 2 goals, 2 games. That's great that he's hot already off the rip. So let's keep that going.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. So again, Saturday, first game of the 4 open preseason games. I'll throw a plug in for, we got some more details. When was this? Today, actually, about the Cokel Cup that they're calling it. It's the last of the preseason games, I believe. Or is it? It's the game on February 21st against Sarasota Paradise. One of the 4 open preseason games at Elling Stadium, February 21st at 7 p.m. All the proceeds from that game are going to go to the Come Get You Some Joy Foundation, which was established by the Cokel family after John Cokel's passing. He's a longtime USL executive, and this game is serving as a fundraiser for that foundation. So super duper cool. The mission statement of the foundation is to honor John's life by bringing joy, hope, and tangible support to individuals and communities in need, because everyone deserves a reason to keep going. Sure, I love it. So that's really, really cool. Note that one on your list of preseason games to go to. If you only go to one, it seems like it'd be one to put on your calendar, and not only check out the guys on the field, but support a local foundation honoring a longtime USL executive. So really, really cool stuff. That'll be Saturday, February 21st at 7 p.m. One of the 4 preseason games that'll be open to the public for you to look out for. Fun stuff. Okay. Great. Before that, obviously, like I said, this weekend is preseason open door game number 1, Philadelphia Union. Go check it out, and we'll have a jolly good time.
Nice.
James, before we jump into this chat with Russell Cicerone, I want to drop a shameless plug as per usual, encouraging you to check out shop.rblrsports.com. Liking, subscribing to this podcast is free, and we appreciate when you do. But if you need some new threads and want to support this pod just a little bit more, you can check out the fun shop over at shop.rblrsports.com. Check out all the cool designs that have been cooked up over there. Link is in the description of this podcast, and use promo code COYR for 10% off. Again, promo code COYR for 10% off. James, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. This is probably what a lot of the folks who are tuning in to this are tuning in for.
Gotta assume.
A chat with new Rowdies player, one of the guys we've been most excited about, one of the early signings that really got us excited for this season. Let's get into this chat with Russell Cicerone.
And here we are with that interview of one of the newest Tampa Bay Rowdies players, Russell Cicerone. Thank you so much, Russell, for joining us. We obviously appreciate whenever the Rowdies do help us out and give us an interview, but you are a name that's known around the USL, I would say. You have a pretty good track record in the USL Championship especially, so this is going to be something that I believe is really exciting for all of the Rowdies fans that are out there, and hopefully everybody tuning in to take in this interview, listening to it later on. Russell, thank you so much for joining us, and literally thank you for joining us, RBLR Sports, tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, we are going to get into, everything about your career and all of the stuff that we went over beforehand, just try and get everybody a good idea of the player that you are and what your background is. So with that said, I don't want to go through your Wikipedia / your transfer market articles. I think that would be fun for everybody listening, but a much more fun way to do that would be to have you break down your own background. Tell us where you're from, what you're about, and how you got into soccer especially.
Sounds good. I'm from Michigan. Think my parents just put me in the local rec leagues when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I think the usual path that everybody takes. And grew up and playing in Michigan. Played for Vardar Academy pretty much my entire life. It's one of the biggest clubs in Michigan, and they did a great job and great youth career there and stuff like that. And then college, went to the University of Buffalo. Cold temperatures, snowy, but I had a great time. Some of my best friends on that team, and I think we overachieved there with not being such a big soccer school, but I think we did great. And then drafted to the Portland Timbers. Um, Only one season there, mostly played with T2, only one first team cap. And then from Timbers to Cincinnati, then Cincinnati to St. Louis, then St. Louis to Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh to Sacramento, Sacramento to Tampa Bay.
Perfect.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a little bit as well. You mentioned that you went to the University of Buffalo, which is, as you said, maybe not the most well-known soccer school. It's not, I don't know, when people think of that, they probably think of UVA, UCLA kind of thing. But how did you end up going to that school in particular and going along there? Even if it's not the biggest school, where did you or when, I guess, did you ultimately realize that you might be capable of pursuing this further? You might have a longer term career in soccer.
Yeah, I think out of Vardar and high school, I wasn't highly recruited by big universities and stuff like that. Obviously, from Michigan, I wanted to play at Michigan or Michigan State, but they didn't really want me. So, University of Buffalo, my coach Stu Riddle, he liked my game a lot. Asked me if I wanted to come out to New York with him because he's moving from Western Michigan to Buffalo, and took a leap of faith, and it was great. And yeah, at Buffalo, we were actually in a tough conference. Akron, always top 5 in the nation in
Yeah, yeah,
soccer.
yeah.
So we'd have to play them twice a year. I lost in 2 finals to them. West Virginia was great, and so playing it, like, we had really good teams in that conference. And when I came in freshman year as the MAC newcomer of the year, and then a couple years later, MAC player of the year, and every single year a first team all MAC. So I think after that newcomer of the year, with the level of talent that was at schools like that, to win it over them, I knew that I had a chance of taking it to the next level.
Understood.
Awesome.
I will turn it over to you,
Awesome.
Carlos, to continue on with your questions here.
Yeah, no, and you obviously jumped in through the clubs you've played through in your time in the USL. Obviously, St. Louis FC, Cincinnati was in that might have been their first year, right? 2018 around. Or no,
Cincinnati
January?
Cincinnati
Yeah.
was in USL. Was their last year in USL.
Yeah. On St. Louis, really broke out at Pittsburgh, and obviously that incredible 2023 season at Sacramento as well. It eventually ended up playing with our formerly, well, not formerly beloved, still beloved former Rowdies coach Neil Collins over at Sacramento. So you've built up obviously plenty of great experience at this level. What made you feel like the move to the Tampa Bay Rowdies was the right move for you at this point in your career? Like I said, probably a good amount of options coming your way from the USL level. Again, Sacramento, Pittsburgh, it seemed like things were going pretty well out there in Sacramento, 3 seasons there. What made you feel like maybe it was time for a move? And what maybe was what called you to the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, I mean, I love my time in Sacramento, and it was great there. And I just had a lot of conversations with Dom and what was best for my family. And moving back to the East Coast, I haven't played on this side in a while, and great area of living in St. Pete, and big club. And I just fresh experience, new experience. I want to keep showcasing myself and build a really strong legacy in the league here.
It's awesome. And can you tell us a little about like this early transition to the Tampa Bay area, to the Rowdies as a club? Obviously, like we said before we started recording, super early on in the preseason. I want to ask you about the preseason games a little bit specifically in a second, because obviously closed door, first open door one coming up this Saturday. Quick plug to get your tickets, go to that.
True.
But what's this early transition been like for you? I mean, you've obviously had the experience of moving to a new club, right? Finding the chemistry in a new locker room. This is a kind of a unique time for Rowdies fans, because we've had it feels like a consistent kind of core for a while. For a number of years. This is the first time we've really seen a almost full overhaul of the roster, bringing together a lot of names from different backgrounds in the USL, maybe can intertwine themselves in their backgrounds. But what has it been like for you gelling with a locker room that seems to be coming from all over the place?
Yeah, it's definitely different with the amount of new players that have come into a team, and trying to build that chemistry. But Rowdy, we've gone out and got top players across the league, experienced seasoned pros that know how to come together, know how to win, know how to play with each other. So obviously we're fine tuning the details of the types of things, types of runs people like to make, where they want the ball in certain areas. Obviously, the type of style of team we want to be. But the staff have done a great job of laying that out for us of what we want to do, and the guys have really taken it to heart. And when you get the guys of that level coming in here, they're hungry. They want to compete. They want to be starters. And so super competitive days every single day. And I think we're making really good progress.
Absolutely. And I wanted to touch on that as well, because this attacking unit that the Rowdies have put together is on paper among the best in the league. Just an incredible locker room you got going with obviously yourself, with MD Myers, Evan Conway, the up and coming kid, Carson Henderlong, who had just an incredible season in League One, right? So you have a name in MD Myers, who a lot of people would say it's probably the best striker in the league over the last couple seasons. Carson Henderlong, who's just, like I said, up and coming. Evan Conway's been incredible. You have even Endry Mustali, the young kid who's proven himself in the last couple seasons. What's that been like for you? Have you been in a locker room that's, I mean, not to compare, your teammates to past teammates or anything like that, but it seems like this has got to be one of the most stacked attacking units I've seen in a USL locker room in quite some time. What's that like early competition been like? I mean, is it some friendly competition early on to kind of see who gets a head start on that starting role? What's that been like for you as well in that attacking core?
Yeah, I mean, first off, they're great guys, so I enjoy going in every day with them and playing with them. But unselfish players, all of them. It makes it easy to play with. Obviously, you want to be the ones to get the goals or assists, but to see how good of players they are and still have the work ethic and do the unselfish side of the game is it's awesome to see. And competition like that's only going to make the team better, and we're going to win more games and we're going to score more goals because of it.
That's awesome. Last thing I'll ask you before I throw it back to James. Can you tell us a little bit about how you felt about these first two preseason games we've heard about against NYCFC and St. Louis? Obviously, we've seen only the lineups is kind of what you get in the recaps, right? So not a lot we can take away as fans. You guys have the better insight. What are the early takeaways from these 2-2 draws against NYCFC and St. Louis? Obviously, MLS squads. We're throwing in some trialists in there too, based on the roster I've seen rotating the lineup at halftime. So again, not a ton to take away here, but as a guy on the field wearing the green and gold, representing our favorite club, what can you tell us about the on-field product early on so far?
Yeah, I think in the first two games, like if you're looking at an individual basis, the team is really talented. We looked really good. Everybody's doing their jobs at a high level. And then big picture stuff like the system, how we want to press, all these other things, how we want to build out, that the coaching staff has laid out for us, we've taken it head on, and we're really implementing it extremely well against pretty high level competition. And I was excited to see how we played in those games, and I was proud of how we did there.
Perfect. Well, I would like to jump in with a couple more questions related to not just your transition to the Rowdies, but also you as a player overall. So Carlos has already mentioned you were in the attack. We probably should have got this out of the way a little bit earlier, but you are generally an attacker, a striker, or I've seen included on your transfer market page, a left winger. So what is the type of player that you would generally describe yourself as? And in addition to that, what is the kind of player that you think Rowdies fans should expect to see when you get out there? I know that there are players who are good on hold-up play, players who are good on the dribble, players who can do a little bit of both. What should everybody expect from you out there?
Yeah, I think more of like a winger attacking midfielder than a center forward. I would categorize myself as I think I put up a lot of numbers every year, so everybody just labels forward. And
Right.
But I do a lot of this stuff in the midfield too. So for me, first things first is my work ethic. I'm going to run for the team. I'm going to give everything I got. But where I think I really thrive on the ball, creating chances, scoring goals, trying to win the game for us, and just be exciting for the fans to watch.
Well, obviously, that is something that is good to hear because attacking football and attacking players that's how you sell tickets, right? That's how you get everybody in the
Absolutely.
door. So
Absolutely.
we're hopeful that the numbers are obviously going up this year. I would like to ask you, has the coach or the coaching staff, I suppose, have they brought up anything in terms of the transition from last year to this year? Carlos already mentioned this too. There was a lot of turnover between 2025 and now into 2026. And the reason for that is, of course, 2025 was a pretty poor year for the Rowdies. We have a good reputation around the league, and I hope that we can live up to that again. But what is the staff focusing on to try and make that a reality in this preseason?
Yeah, I think they pretty much said what finishing where the club did last year is not acceptable to Rowdies fans and the club, and we're going to do whatever we can to get us back on top. And but right now, the staff is just a system that we want to play, people that know how to do their jobs, and then they brought in talented enough players that we're going to make it happen on the field. But if everybody buys into the system that they're putting out, and we're going to be successful.
Gotcha. And are you a personal goals type of player? Or are you a guy who kind of takes it a game at a time? I know that a lot of players like to say they take it a game at a time, but they might also have personal goals. Where do you fall on that?
Um, no, I like a lot in the win column. That's all I care about, really.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
I like that too. That's
Yeah, I
good.
do like that. I like that.
Well, speaking of in the wins, what are the Rowdies? Well, obviously they're aiming for wins, but yeah, where should the team expect to try and get these goals from? Or is this something that's going to be a lot of based on the wing backs or coming through the middle? Based on the very early stages, because we'll have some preseason games coming up for everybody. What's
Sure.
the Don't give everything away naturally, but what's the general system been like?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be on the ball, and when we don't have it, we're going to hunt, we're going to press to get it back, and um, like I said, the amount of talented players that they've brought in, you're going to get high level play from everywhere, so it never falls on one thing that we're trying to like really overload the wing backs getting super high or anything like that. It's just we're gonna have the ball. We're gonna have it in dangerous areas, and we're gonna try to protect ourselves at the back for because when we're trying to score goals every once in a while, we're gonna lose it. But like I said, talented players that are gonna be able to help us out up there.
Perfect. Well, that's obviously very positive as well. Carlos, I will turn it back over to you here.
Absolutely. Russell, I'm thinking about obviously the year ahead and getting back to Alling Stadium. Personally, I live up in Arlington, Virginia, so now I try to get down as many games as I can for the big one. So hoping to be there for the season opener. I'm personally excited to see the full stadium and be back on the water over there at Alling. What can you tell me, you personally, as a player, as a person being in the Tampa Bay area, what are you most excited about being now in the Tampa Bay area? Maybe a Tampa Bay thing separately, and then a Rowdies thing specifically, if that makes any sense. I'd like to be at the beach right now. Obviously, it's kind of cold, but as a new member of this Rowdies club, what's one thing that's really, really exciting, something that you're looking forward to, something new in this new chapter of your career?
Yeah, I think Saturday nights at Lang on the water, beautiful stadium, tons of fans. I feel like I played here a ton, but everybody's always booing me or rooting against me. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have them on my side, and it's going to make running that much easier, and doing the hard work just that much easier when you have that support behind your back at one of the best stadiums in the league. I mean, it's beautiful, right on the water. I mean, I love it there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it'll help you get over the humidity factor a little bit easier. I know that's an issue sometimes for that transition. So hopefully that's a smooth transition. We'll see. I think it's still nice and chilly down there, right? Am I making that up? So we'll see when that starts to pick up a bit.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something separately from the Rowdies? Give us a look into the Russell Cicerone, the person. What's something you're looking forward to in the Bay Area as outside the club? Are you a beach guy like me? Are you a foodie? I don't know. Excited for some Cuban food in the area.
Yeah.
You thought about anything in the area you're looking forward to?
Yeah, well, I've been exploring in St. Pete a decent amount. Haven't been going to the beach. Obviously, the weather is chilly, but I am a beach guy. I like it. Restaurants and things to do in St. Pete. I haven't really ventured over to Tampa too much as of late, but I'm sure we'll get over there. Yeah, I'm excited. Moved my family down here. I just had a new baby, so show them the city and different things to do. My wife and her. So just little things like that I'm excited about.
Well,
That's awesome.
congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I will say, so again, personally, just excited to get to this 2026 season. I think, like James said, it was a tough year last year. I think it wasn't something we'd been blessed to avoid seasons like that for quite a while at this point. So this is maybe a chance for you maybe to introduce yourself fresh to the Rowdies fans as not, an opposing player who's scoring a bunch of goals on us and getting booed, right? To the fans that are happy to see you now in green and gold, what's the message to Rowdies fans now going into the 2026 season, knowing what you know about last year, seeing the guys around you, right? What's one thing you can tell the Rowdies fans to maybe, I don't know, if you had to pitch them, let's say, to come to the game this weekend or start thinking about season tickets, what are a couple of things you can say to get them even more excited?
Yeah, I think with the group we have and myself personally, we're gonna give everything that we have on that field to bring points, to bring wins, and to bring trophies to the club. And you're gonna see that fight in us every day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. James, do you have anything else you want to dive into? Because I have a few rapid fire questions I'll start getting into if you don't.
Well, actually, I was going to suggest that we move on to the rapid fire here because, I have my usual questions lined up, but I will not rain on your parade trying to start that off here. So I'll let you get us going, and then I'll just pick up the scraps of the rapid fire.
I got you. All right. These are the hard-hitting questions. This is when we get into controversial topics.
Exactly.
Economics, politics, all the let's do fun stuff. All right. Again, all the good stuff out of the way. I appreciate you joining us and talking Rowdies with us for a little bit. Maybe an opportunity to get to know Russell's personality a bit more, right? Soccer stuff or food stuff. I'll ask you first. What was your favorite club to watch growing up? If you watched any soccer at all growing up?
Liverpool.
Okay. Favorite food?
Maybe a good hamburger. I don't know.
I will suggest the countless Cuban restaurants in Tampa. Not as many in St. Pete. I think all the best ones are in Tampa. I'm a Tampa loyalist, so I can deal with that sometimes. But we'll talk off air. I'll throw you some recommendations for some good food. Are you a pet person?
We don't have any pets, but I like dogs.
Okay. Okay.
In this lifestyle with all the travel to keep bringing and stuff like that. So
I was about to say that's interesting. I've never actually thought about the life of the professional player jumping around with a pet. Is that in the plans, you think?
Maybe. I know my wife is a super big dog person, so.
Okay. These are what we came to hear, by the way. This is really interesting. James, take it away. Throw some questions.
Well, you asked for food, so if a hamburger was generally up there, is that like your go-to cheat day snack? Or cheat day meal, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if it was like a dessert, I like ice cream.
Okay. I like good answer there. So you said Liverpool was your favorite club growing up. No points held against you from this chat, at least. I don't know who's going to be listening. We'll see we'll see what they say. But who was your favorite player growing up? Was it also a Liverpool player, or was it someone else?
Obviously, just watching Messi every day, every chance you could watch Barca, and it's just best player of all time. So that was my favorite player.
Also, not going to lose any points, at least for me in this chat. I don't know about Carlos, but
that's fine. I like Messi. I don't like the team he plays for now, but I like Messi.
Yeah, it's fair.
That's fair. All right. Let me ask you. All right. So let me do slightly more controversial ones. And I feel like this is the right time of year for this question, but I don't know if you've been able to take advantage. So let me ask you, Michigan cherries or Florida strawberries? I feel like that's, again, maybe you haven't had a chance to try the strawberries. So it could be up in the air.
I haven't had a chance to try the strawberries, but my family went cherry picking a lot back in Michigan, and I loved it there. So right now, Michigan cherries still by a little bit.
They say the cold makes the strawberries taste even sweeter. So maybe this is a good time of year to get around to it at some point soon. some Tampa knowledge for you.
Okay.
Let me ask you then, up in Michigan, just a little bit more background. How far across the state have you been? Have you been up to the Upper Peninsula, all that area as well?
Yeah, I played a lot of hockey growing up, and there was a lot of tournaments up in the UP. And my sister and her family lives in Grand Rapids, so the west side. So been all over.
Well, this was actually not going to be a rapid fire question, but I'm going to ask now anyway. What would you recommend to do up in the UP? Because that is an area that I would actually like to go and visit someday.
Well, if you're going in the summertime, I don't know if you play golf. A lot of great golf courses in northern Michigan.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, lake life up there, like on a cabin on the lake, unbelievable. But that's all summertime stuff. I mean, I don't know if you want to be up there in the winter because they're getting insane amounts of snow.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If Florida was getting any amount of snow, then obviously Michigan was getting pretty wrecked.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you then. We already talked about your favorite player, and I want to ask you, this is another question that I picked up from people in the past. Who is the best player that you've ever played against? Whether that was in youth or college or at the senior level, any player, or actually I should say any player that you've played with or against, the best one that you were like, I just cannot believe what they're doing. That's another level.
So I don't know if I when I was in college, Orlando City asked me to come down there and train with them for 2 weeks, and Kaka was there, and how big he was. First of all, I didn't know that, and how smooth, and it's like he glided across the field with the boys. He was the best player I've ever seen live. Yeah.
I really don't think we're gonna get a better answer than that, actually. That's great for me, Carlos. If you have anything else, he's shut my questions down.
I really don't like that team, but I really like Kaka. Kaka is pretty awesome. One of the coolest players I've ever seen play in person. Geez, you took my favorite one. I was going to be like, okay, well, you said Kaka, so I can still ask this. Who's the best defender you've had to play against in your career?
Man, that's tough.
We told you there'd be hard-hitting questions. There'd be hard-hitting questions. There's real stuff here.
When I was at Cincinnati, there was a guy, Declan Cannon, and he was an older guy, but he was Israeli, played in the Prem and stuff like that. He was an absolute warrior. Every challenge, you knew you were going to get crunched, and such a phenomenal player.
Okay, that's a good pull. I was hoping you'd be like Leland Archer.
Yeah, you know what, I should have, but I was thinking.
No, I got you. Here's a good question. This is something I'd like to ask the guys. People are different, right? I like a good Bad Bunny song before I work out. You guys work out like for real. I lift in my tiny gym downstairs. Are you a music before a game guy, music before a workout guy? And if so, what hypes you up before you get out there?
You know what? Like before a game and stuff, I don't really listen to music. I'd rather like have a laugh with the guys or play a game on the ball and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, it's nice to have music going on in the locker room. Who do I like in the locker room? I like Big X the Plug. I think he pumps me up. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for you on that one.
I got you. All right. Last hard-hitting question I'll throw your way. Is there any shows you're watching right now? Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all the ridiculous amounts of streaming services. Because I'm out of ideas. So I need recommendations. Anything you're watching these days?
Well, I was a big Game of Thrones fan, and there's that Night of the Seven Kingdom that comes out every Sunday. So that's kind of annoying. You have to wait week to week. It's not something that you can binge, but I liked it. I've liked it so far.
There you go. You know, I've never actually watched Game of Thrones, so this could be my motivation.
Carlos, good Lord.
If Russell Cicerone is telling me to watch Game of Thrones, I think I will seriously consider it.
That's a long road to go down there, though, but it's good.
The only thing I know about it is that everyone hates the series finale, so I don't know. It might not be worth making it all the way to the end. So,
yeah,
Russell, that's all I got. James, anything else from your end?
No, I'm good. I would like for you to eventually join us in the world of Ice and Fire, but that's for another time, obviously.
You know what I dive into my nerd obsession, and I don't know if you call Game of Thrones a nerd obsession, but my nerd obsession is Star Wars. So if you ever want to talk Star Wars, that's where you'll find me.
I like Star Wars.
Russell, this has been great. I didn't think we'd end up talking about Star Wars and Game of Thrones, but you know what? That's where these conversations go sometimes.
Absolutely.
I personally I love hearing about everything going on in the field, especially when we don't really have our eyes on the product on field yet, with the exception of the small select a seat event, right? That
Right.
first open door game is coming up, and I wish I could be there. But here again, another quick plug to be at that game. Go check out the products on the field, see the guys get the chemistry going. So again, I love hearing your perspective and hearing about what's happening over there in the locker room, the gelling, all that fun stuff. And of course, hearing about who you are as a person as well. I think that's even more interesting, right? Getting to know the guys who represent our favorite club, whose flag I think is visible back there.
Yes, it is.
So I'd love to see it. And maybe we add one more star this year. That's the goal, right?
Absolutely. That's the goal.
So yeah, Russell, again, appreciate this a ton. Obviously, all the best this year, and hoping for a ton of goals.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me on. It was a ton of fun.
Appreciate it, Russell. All right, chat later.
And that was our interview with Russell Cicerone. Carlos, I really enjoy talking to Rowdies players. I think I've said that a number of times. But to be fair, this was a fun interview because we got to get a little bit of background knowledge on Mr. Cicerone. And now I have one extra travel tip for the future.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I love chatting with all the new guys in particular. Especially the fun, exciting, attacking guys. It's always fun to hear about how they're doing. And I think this attacking unit in particular is just so unique with how stacked it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned it when we were chatting with him, Russell, and then, maybe consensus best striker in the league over the last couple seasons, MD Myers, Evan Conway, who's just an incredibly consistent veteran in the USL. Carson Henderlong is the wild card here, who seems like he can produce incredible numbers this year based on what he did last season with Naples. Just really, really, really impressive locker room that he's going to have to compete with for minutes. Maybe not, as an outright striker, like he mentioned, more in an attacking mid, maybe even a winger role, right? But we'll have to see how it all shapes out. But like you said, I think it's really cool to hear about these guys, competing and just being kind of straightforward about that, right? They're competing for minutes. They all want to be the guys that score goals and get all the assists, but at the same time, good, healthy competition that makes everybody better at the end of the day. So that's really, really cool to hear about. Mm-hmm. And again, good to hear about how things are going on the field, because we don't know anything about the games other than who's playing in them and, who's in goal, basically, right?
Yeah.
James, that was fun. Anything going on in the broader soccer world? Anything you want to talk about in extra time? Is there anything happening?
Well, we do know that there are a couple of signings around the USL. We talked about Pedro Guimaraes last week. His move to Eintracht Frankfurt when he turns 18 has been confirmed. So good for him. Good for the USL, as I said last week. Very positive. The USL Super League has started up again. So if you have been thinking about going to a Sun game, now you can go, and you've already avoided their coldest ever game. I'm almost certain. We were there on Saturday night after Gasparilla, and I would say that it was a pretty cold game, and it's better when it's that cold to be walking instead of to be just sitting watching a game. So that was the difference between Gasparilla during the day and the Sun game at night. But if you do want to go to a Sun game, get tickets, and you probably won't be as cold. We already talked about the Lightning game earlier. So I don't know, Carlos, any other soccer things that we need to hit on before we head out of here?
There's always stuff happening, right? But nothing particularly big or interesting. Like you said, there's always moves happening around the USL. There hasn't been any that particularly catch my eye as super interesting, other than Joey Skinner, knowing where he's going to be landing, going to Charlotte, which is really, really cool. So, sweet. That's fun. Jack Panayotu, Georgetown legend, is going to Loudoun. So Loudoun is strengthening their midfield, which is really nice. because I like a good Loudoun team in my backyard. Makes for good Rowdies and Loudoun matchups. That game against them was ridiculous last season over here in Virginia. Although I would have liked it to be a win, it was at least a pretty good game to watch. But yeah, James, I mean, nothing crazy going on in the world of USL other than that. I mean, obviously we talked about the big news with the USL Premier being named and everything now, but that was last week. Nothing new this week. I think we're good to start wrapping things up.
All right. Well, let's get ahead and do that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We always appreciate when you do. Please follow RBLR Sports on all your social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, anywhere at RBLR Sports. I am mostly on Twitter at this point, and I can be found, if you need that, at RBLR James K. You can use the hashtag AskRBLR, or you can reach Carlos
at Carlos TPA10 on X, formerly known as Twitter.
That's right. And if you like this podcast, hey, actually, it doesn't matter. If you like this podcast or don't like this podcast, I'm just going to tell you to like it literally with the like button and subscribe to our podcast. You can get the full experience on YouTube where you can watch not only me and not only Carlos, but also Russell Cicerone, folks. That's pretty good. You can watch us there on YouTube and get the full experience. But if you do want to listen, we are on the Spotify and iHeartRadio apps, Apple and Google Podcasts. Again, wherever you are, we are there as well. So with another week in the books, with a preseason game done, and with an interview on the way, come on, you Rowdies. And
there you go, James.
Nice.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.